welcome to Society Academy.
We're your hosts, Cecilia and Caitlin.
And this is a show that is part of our school magazine, Stamford Spark. And here we'll be discussing things such as basically things that happen in society. And we're going to talk about things that we can. So we are going to talk about the future of our planet.
So today we are discussing everything from pollution to climate change, basically everything that relates to what is happening to Mother Nature currently.
Okay, so this month we have another guest speaker. Today our guest speaker is Mrs. Sulaeman, who is our primary vice principal and coordinator. She is also our editorial advisor here at Spark, actually. Hi, Miss.
Hi there. Hi, girls.
Hi, Miss.
All right, so let's get into it, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Let's do that.
Okay, so we're gonna kick this off with a question. So first of all, what do you personally think about climate change or global warming? Are they the same thing? Are they two different things? What do you think they are?
Okay, well, I mean, I should say at the beginning, I'm definitely not some kind of environmental expert or even a high-level scientist, but it is something that I'm personally really interested in. And yeah, of course, it's two separate things, although the two things are somehow linked. I mean, as far as I see it, global warming is a smaller topic, the heating of although it's a huge thing caused by, emission of greenhouse gases. Whereas I guess climate change is like a bigger trend, but is obviously maybe influenced. Yeah. Do you agree with that? I mean, do you feel the same?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I think like global warming is more like this subtopic, but it's literally linked to climate change as a whole general thing, basically.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
All right.
So for the second question is, firstly, let's talk about, pollution. Pollution is literally everywhere. Wherever we go, there's probably pollution. So what do you think is the biggest pollutant currently, and why is that?
Right. Well, I don't know based on statistics, that's for sure, Cecilia, but just from my impression, things that are causing a huge amount of pollution at the moment would be things like factory farming, these huge industrial farms, which, lots of methane emissions. And then I guess stuff like the travel industry has really, really grown massively in the last 10 years. And also a major source of pollution. And then the other one that I would mention would be the fast fashion industry, although I don't know how that comes in terms of numbers.
Maybe textile?
Sorry, can you?
Textile pollution, from the dyes and then coal, gas, that kind of stuff.
Yes, I do mean that. I mean, in terms of production, but it's more connected, I think, to our kind of consumer lifestyle. I mean, the vast amount of clothes we buy, for example, nowadays, we buy very cheap clothes, we wear them for a while, then throw them away.
Yeah.
And this is, the production of them involves a lot of water and, as you say, a lot of fossil fuels.
A lot of cotton, and also not to mention the heating. Yeah, I get it. So basically the industries that what we think of is not going to be that harmful, but actually are very harmful, basically.
Very much so, yeah. And I mean, just in general terms, our consumer lifestyle, everything, is coming in plastic and it's all of these things are contributing, industrial processes, which we encourage by buying them, by spending money on them.
Basically things that we think are single use, like plastic, styrofoam.
Yeah. But I mean, some things are changing in that way. I mean, clothes, when I was younger, for example, all those many years ago, clothes were very much something you bought and kept for a long time. But people now, they buy clothes, you know, as like almost like a hobby, you know, and they buy things, then they wear them a couple of times, then they put it away somewhere or give it to somebody. But I mean, actually, it's becoming a very like disposable industry as well, which it didn't used to be.
So that's kind of the sad thing, and I don't think it's going to stop anywhere in the future, like anytime.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, unless we can change people's habits. No, I agree.
Yeah, I think which that brings us to our next point. So how do we necessarily, is there a way for us to reduce pollution?
Yeah, I mean, to reduce pollution, we have to change people's habits very, very drastically. I mean, of course, there's two different kind of strands to this. I mean, one of them is like government policy, lobbying people in power and supporting environmental groups. But the other, I think, in a way, even bigger one is to influence people's personal habits with the way they shop, the way they eat, in everything they do, basically. Everything we do.
Habits, basically.
Yeah.
So like I'm thinking of it like if there's no demand for this certain product, the business will not be making these products because they're not in demand. So that's so basically in a way that's how we really dismantle this whole giant progress where we're gonna harm the environment with pollution.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's really, it sounds kind of very pessimistic, but it's very difficult to change people's habits until something.
Yes, to be slow, step by step.
Until something quite catastrophic happens. People are, even though we're all aware nowadays, you know, at school,
we're not
hear
really
about stuff.
To take it.
Yeah, but we don't take the action. We know what the problem is, but we still do the things that, when we know that we're doing wrong things. Like when I go shopping, I see everyone with their plastic bags still, which is kind of crazy. But people are just too kind of lazy to take small steps.
But do you think in a way it's slightly changing? Because like recently there's been a movement where there's like people who bring their own shopping bags, and sometimes there are policies and stores in place. Like I think that's in a way, right?
Yeah, I mean, some stores are more kind of diligent about reinforcing that, but very few are actually strict enough about it. I mean, basically, it should just be zero plastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen in local...
Some stores like supermarkets, instead of banishing it, instead they charge for plastic. I think it's not.
Yeah, they do that in supermarkets.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some impact, but it's not the most effective thing because plastic is cheap.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. And I think that's the point why we are using plastic in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot, sadly, it's down to kind of people's laziness to remember. I mean, people have all these nice drinking cups from Starbucks, but do they take them with them when they go out? Quite often not, from what I see. And people have, you know, they have their shopping bag, but they don't take it with them when they go out. So how do you actually do that is the question.
Yeah. All right. Next.
All right, so the next question is, do you think the reason we need to take care of our Earth is because it's like the only place for us humans to live in, or is it because we just need to care about it?
I think, I guess all of that really. I mean, like it's our home, it's the place where we live. And especially when you get older and you have, children, you think more and more about your children's future and what the world is going to be like for them. So, of course, we have to think about that. We can't just think about our own little space, our own lifetime. We have to really think of future generations. It sounds like a cliche, but it's a fact.
Yeah, and I guess in a way, like I heard this thing like recently where people are like saying that we cannot just, it's not because of the Earth. The Earth has been going through under like climate changes a long time. They've been going, the Earth itself has gone through an ice age and like a volcanic age.
Yeah.
And I think it's really more of for the survival of humans, because we need water and we need oxygen basically to live.
Yeah, sure. That's a good point. The planet can survive, I mean, and has done through ice ages and, you know, natural occurrences. But this is clearly not. It's a very man-made or human-made problem. And I think for humans, yeah, it really puts us in danger. But I don't think people necessarily see that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Next thing is there are people around the world who are global warming deniers, and we've seen a lot of them recently. And, like, why do you think it's so difficult for them to just accept it? Is it like misinformation or lack of education? Why do you think it's like, it's kind of a sad reality, but like some people do not think that global warming exists and it's a hoax made by the government?
Yeah, I know. It's really disturbing. I mean, for me, it's quite a recent trend. People's lack of faith in science. It's a really, really recent like phenomenon. I think like what is it caused by? I don't know. I mean, like we're of course we have to question. We can't believe everything that we read. We have to check our facts quite carefully. Yeah, and even for, you know, science, but we're not always qualified or a high enough level to check those facts. But I think when a large body of academics or scientists comes out and tells us that something is a fact, we have to be able to trust them on that. I mean, like, it's like when we go to the doctor, we have to trust that the doctor knows better than us because of their qualifications. Maybe they don't always, but when generally scientists get together and tell us, yes, there is global warming, people just, you know, they don't want to hear what they don't want to hear, basically.
Yeah. I guess like, recently there has been more like people, like scientists generally saying it. Like David Attenborough, I think the other day he had this documentary about global warming. And I think the other day I also watched this video of, I think he was a scientist on glaciers, and he was talking about like how the glaciers are melting. And the sad reality is we have the facts, but some people just don't want to believe what they don't want to believe.
Yes, yeah, they don't. They just, you know, I'm not quite sure where that comes from. I mean, I think social media has a big role in people. Like, if someone can have a crazy idea, and, you know, everyone jumps onto that without really, you know, without really looking into the details. But it's a really disturbing trend for me. I mean, like with the anti-vaccination stuff, for example. There's, you know, a massive amount of people who are actually anti at the moment, which I find very surprising.
So I think it's like a theory. What's it called? A like theory that is not basically backed up. I forgot the word, but yeah, that's it's a thing.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's not helped. The situation is not helped when you have people in power, you know, like Donald Trump. We have to say, there's no denying, when there's people in power who will, you know, happily lie to us and feed us misinformation, you know, how can you expect, you know, people to behave rationally when they have leaders who are doing the same thing? It's unbelievable, really.
Okay. So for the next question is, so as a world leader, the USA majorly affects on how the world sees climate change, right? So the question is, how do you feel about President Donald Trump being voted out of the office after the election of 2020, right?
Yes.
So will people start to take climate change more seriously, taking the fact that President Trump left the Paris account? Accord.
That's a really good question, Cecil. Very good question. On a personal level, I'm delighted that this man is out of power, because he's everything that I don't stand for. You know, he's misogynistic, he's crass, he gives lots of misinformation. So personally, I am delighted, of course. Does it really affect policy? Well, yes. I mean, I guess Joe Biden will try his best to go back into the Paris Accord.
And I think he has like some like environmental kind of like policies in
Yes,
like
sure, sure, yeah. But that also doesn't take away from the fact that there are still, like, I mean, the election was really, really close. There's still like almost 50% of voters who support people like Donald Trump and don't care about environment. They care about industry and making money over the environment. So yes, in a way, we can be a little bit more optimistic, but in practice, there's still, you know, people with these like ridiculous ideas around.
So I think, especially with people on social media right now, it's not the end of the fight. It's just the beginning. It's the first step we're taking.
Yes, so they say, so they say. But at least it's not a step backwards. It's a step towards the correct direction. Yeah.
Okay, so the Spark team actually was very enthusiastic about this one. So we were like in a meeting the other day, and they were like, "So what is your opinion on Greta Thunberg? Everyone's been talking about Greta Thunberg.
Okay.
She's a teen. She's our age, and she's inspirational."
Yeah. I'm interested in your friends. What do your friends think about her? I'm really interested. Then I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna tell me either, but it was the Spark team. It was specifically Dr. Peter. He was like very
right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, I find her like amazingly inspirational. I mean, like, I just think on many, many levels, I really find her an inspiration, someone of her age and her background who will just give up their studies to fight for something that they believe in. I love the way she handles, you know, she attends UN meetings and stuff like that with great calm and poise rather, and she speaks pretty calmly even when she's being kind of taunted by people. I think she's hugely inspirational. And I guess nowadays people always have haters, don't they? She has all those trolls out there. But basically, you know, if you're a young woman and you're out there saying what you think, you're always going to get people who will try to put you down. And but
because a lot of people think that. Yeah, I think it's because also like young people can't do things, and especially women, because a lot of people think backwards, and I think it's really inspiring for people like Greta Thunberg to, especially the way she speaks, like where she says like I should be on the other side of the world studying, and then she's speaking this on the UN board. I think it's really, really cool, and it's awesome basically to see someone influential at such a young age basically.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think there's sometimes a kind of jealousy from like older generations when they see a young person who's actually achieving something and getting people out on the street to do something. Sometimes like older people are, you know, they have a certain kind of jealousy about that she can achieve what, you know, many politicians are happy to sit around and do nothing. I think it's just truly, truly awesome. I love her.
All right. Cecile, the next one?
So for the next question, as we know, since the pandemic, there was an increase of food delivery and services such as Gojek. So do you think that it increases the amount of plastic, like the plastic pollution that we have in our community now, or has it decreased?
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, as far as I see it, absolutely increased. It's a dilemma because, you know, it's a difficult time especially for like Gojek and Grab drivers who, I mean, during the actual lockdown, they weren't allowed to work. So yes, of course you want to support them, but really the restaurants leave a lot to be desired in the kind of packaging that they give to their products. And again, it's not for any really good reason, because you can package your food well with less harming products. You don't have to use polystyrene. You don't have to use plastic. There are plenty of other alternatives available. But I
Yeah,
guess
maybe like
consumers,
biodegradable items.
yeah, but I think
Like
as well,
recently
consumers
there's
are a
like
bit kind of
these
picky.
things like cassava plastic, and then I
Yes,
think there's an innovation with seaweed plastic as well,
mm,
actually.
yeah, but then there's like good old-fashioned paper as well, you
Yeah,
know. I mean, of course, there are all these wonderful Indonesian innovative products, but you know, people might say, oh, it's too expensive. But I mean,
yeah,
paper and cardboard packaging
that
is
also works.
also very effective
I
for,
think like recently there was people's been using, instead of plastic, they've been using banana leaves. I
that's
think
right,
it's very
yeah.
Right,
good.
that's true, yeah.
Like
I mean, actually, that's
not a
just
contents of it, and it's really good use, I guess.
it is. I mean, it's like the traditional packaging in Indonesia. I mean,
Yeah,
it's been used for years and years, and you can sterilize it quite easily. It's not difficult to clean. So yeah, we really should be going to
yeah.
things
Back to the basics.
back to basics. Yeah, but I think this one, I think consumers, I mean myself included, you just take what's given to you. This is where governments have to step in and say,
Yeah,
no, we're not using plastic anymore. Like in Bali, they said no more plastic bags. And I think, I mean, the last time I was there, not very long ago, they still are following that policy.
yeah,
So
they are.
That's
I think
nice.
Bali compared to like the rest of Indonesia, I think is a little bit more forward thinking because they have a lot of tourism in ways.
yeah, I think they have a lot of influence
Yeah,
from other countries because they have so many guests who will say, we don't want plastic. We don't want our
yeah,
water in plastic bottles. We want to refill. That's had a huge impact. And it's good. People have a voice. Yeah. But we need, on stuff like that, we need very firm
government.
government policy, and we don't have that.
All right, so the next thing is, what are the brands that are fighting climate change and how can we support them?
Right, that's a good question as well, a very good question. We have to be very careful because a lot of these big multinationals will use, you know, eco issues for their marketing, and we can't always 100% trust
Greenwashing, basically.
what is behind that. You know, is it just a marketing ploy, or are they really doing something?
I think it's like what they do is like they put some green colors in their packaging and they're saying that,
Yeah.
hey, this is eco by me.
Yeah, it's a slogan basically. But for me, like again, we need to change our like shopping habits. So using more like local home industries rather than buying from big multinational corporations all the time. We need to support like
Right.
local businesses, then transport costs
Yeah,
and not
transport costs
burden.
are lower, less climate stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
pollution. And I
And
think,
yeah, and also support like individual people in
yeah,
their living. I think I gave an example in my article that I wrote a couple of months ago. I
yeah,
always try and buy, you know, if I'm buying shampoo, I buy bar shampoo now,
yeah,
that's not in a plastic bottle. And I always buy it locally now. I buy it from a Bandung supplier now. I found some
yeah.
in Bandung.
It's
So
always,
you're supporting your community and you're helping the environment.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like hit two birds with one stone. Like I think it's the same thing. It's we have to think forward basically that these things are not sustainable and we have to be more sustainable basically.
Yeah, we have to change our own personal habits. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the next question, do you think that the world should be more engaged on climate change, especially the youth or the young people? Do you think they should engage more or
Yes, of course. I mean, I mean, not just young people. Everybody has
Yeah.
to. I mean,
yeah, that's
everyone has to, in whichever way suits them. Whether you're taking personal steps to change your habits, whether you're joining an organization, whether you're lobbying your government, we all have to do something.
Yeah.
And you
So
know,
like
whichever ways. Yeah,
start maybe even like if you can start something that helps people sustainable, do
yeah,
research.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think the more innovation we have, the better it will be for our future basically because not only like would us young people be the one living in the future, but the generations to come will also be living in the future.
Yeah, 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 agree.
We will have a great future for our like next generation.
Yes, if we take action now, we will. If we can take steps now.
Okay, so another question from the Spark team. So, as a mother, how do you inspire your children and your students to help the movement against climate change?
Right. I don't know if I inspire them, but I think the best way as a teacher, as a mother, as an adult, that you can influence other people, the only way really is by your example. You can't preach to people, they're not really interested. I mean, you can give a little bit of explanation for your actions sometimes, but basically saying to people, don't do that, don't do this, doesn't really have an effect. You have to do everything by example. So if I want my students to do something, I have to do it too. And in my family, I'm definitely the one who takes the lead. I mean, I find it a bit ironic. You would think, you know, the younger generation are the ones who should be, you know, telling their parents, but I definitely am the one. I always, you know, take my reusable bag when I go out. I try and buy from small local companies when I can. So setting an example. I must say though, I mean, I'm far from perfect. I mean, I don't, for example, I travel a lot. I fly quite a lot, which is actually dreadful, you know, for the environment. And I need to do something about that. My carbon footprint is huge. So, so yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't always preach to people, but where you can, change your behavior. That's the only way to do it. If we all make our small changes, it will have a huge effect.
Yeah. Okay, last question.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the last question.
Yes.
So do you have anything in plan for the school as a community to help fight against climate change? And if so, would you like to share with us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, actually, we started from a few years ago, a couple of years ago, actually, with Miss Ellen, actually. When we had an event, I've been saying this for a long time, we really need to stop using plastic in school events. We really have to do something about this. So we had, a couple of years ago, we had a spelling bee where we invited outsiders. And we decided that we would start making changes. So all the contestants from Stamford and from outside had to bring their own drinking bottle, no, you know, water bottle, no plastic bottles given. And all the vendors for the event, we told them, as far as you can, as far as it's possible for you, please don't use any plastic or polystyrene in serving your food. And they were able to do it to a certain extent. I mean, that would make a difference. We've had very few events recently because of this wretched pandemic, you know, but in events since that, we have really, really tried to cut down on the use of plastic. Again, it's a small step, but it's definitely in the right direction. It's an example. I think you might remember as well, we gave the stainless steel drinking straws to the school community. I do hope people are using them. I mean, that's something that I do. I always use a bamboo straw or my stainless steel straw when I go out.
Oh, I am using that, just so you know.
Sorry?
I'm using it, and like my sister also likes to use it.
Good. You're fighting over it, I guess.
At home, so.
Yeah.
I use my own water bottle.
And like, it's really hard to get like because like some restaurants they provide paper straws, right?
Yes, they do.
So my family personally we just despise those paper straws. So like we got like the metal ones, and I think my mom bought some on her own. I think my dad has bamboo straws actually. So it's like as a family we do really like to use these reusable items.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when people produce like alternatives, they're not always that perfect either. I mean, paper straws are also not ideal, but I guess they're better than plastic at least.
No, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing I would say, just as, you know, my final thing I would like to say is that I would really encourage people not to use these disposable masks, because they're already contributing huge amounts of waste and being found on beaches and clogging up sewers. I mean, it's so easy to have a reusable one, a good quality reusable one. And
yeah, it's true.
that's like a measure you can really, really take very easily. It's not.
And that's why like some fashion designers are currently designing their own masks for other people to
Yeah,
use. That's
true.
my cousin made those masks.
Right.
My cousin made those masks.
Yeah. You
For
can even have
like
them
everyone
to
in
go
family.
with your outfit. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
okay. Maybe can you repeat that? I think I had my Wi-Fi issue. One more time.
Again, please.
Yeah.
She's saying, can you please say one more time? It's because her internet is kind
Can
of
you repeat the last sentence?
All right. My last sentence was just
Yeah,
about using reusable masks. This is my point. There's no reason for, apart from in hospitals, there's no reason to use those disposable masks. They're terrible source of pollution. Yeah. So basically, my message would be: change your personal habits as best you can. Do what you can.
take it slow. Don't make like a huge step. Take it like step by step first.
Yeah, you don't have to like become
I think,
vegan overnight, for example. You know, I mean, it's a useful thing to do, but you have to take small measures that you can actually achieve.
Yeah. I think also like recently I've been using reusable masks, and I have my aunt and my uncle. They're like doctors, and I've been told that they work in the hospital. They also bought masks that are reusable for them to use. So
right. Okay.
I think it's more expensive on the expensive side, but yeah, you can buy masks that are safer and also reusable.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's it in this month. So I'm Caitlin, and that's my co-host Cecilia. And remember, society has its issues. So see you guys at the next Society Academy. Bye.
Bye
Guys. Thank you for coming today, Miss Sulaeman.
Yes, you're welcome. Bye bye.
Thank you, Miss.
Yep.
Thank you, Miss.